Hey fourth graders, it's Mrs. Long. We've been working a lot with data and how to represent data on line plots and stem and leaf plots and finding the median, mode, and range of the data. And today we're going to kind of put all of that together and look at some real world scenarios of how we would use all of that with data analysis. So right here we have some different examples that we're going to go through. Now I just want to point out that this video is in 2 of your lessons, so you're going to watch the video twice. I know it's going to be so exciting, but I do want to make sure that you guys understand this, because really this is how we take all of those individual skills and really apply them in real life situations. So right here is an example. In Science Club, Lily measured the length of dragonfly wings. She makes a line plot of her data, which is here. She finds more than one dragonfly wing, and then each one is measured to the nearest 1/4 of an inch. So right here you can see on the line plot all of those different things represented. Okay, so what we want to do is answer some questions. Right here it gives us a question. Which wing length appears the most often? Ooh. Which one appears the most often? That means we're finding the mode, right? You should have all known that. Mode, M-O, mode, M-O, most. Well, we look for the one that has the most X's on top of it. In this case, it was 1 1/4 inch. Let's look at this next question though, because we want to see some different types of questions. Let me adjust the papers. There we go. All right, so we're going to use the line plot above. What fraction of dragonfly wings are shorter than 1 inch? What fraction of dragonfly wings are shorter than 1 inch? Now it specifically asks for a fraction. So they want to know what fraction are shorter than 1 inch. That means that the denominator of my fraction is going to be how many dragonfly wings are measured in all. The total, remember that for one whole data set in this case. So how many dragonfly wings were measured? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my denominator is going to be 8. The numerator is going to answer the question. So the numerator is looking to see how many are shorter than an inch. Here's 1 inch right here on the line plot, so anything lower than that. How many are over there? Remember, these are the wings. 1, 2. There's 2/8 of the wings were shorter than 1 inch. Okay, that's one way that we could do that. And that might be something that she's trying to figure out. Well, how big are dragonfly wings and all that sort of thing. All right, let's look at another question. Now, this is another line plot that we've seen. And the question is down here at the bottom. So I'm going to actually cover up this because we did already do those questions in an earlier video. And you can definitely go back to them. But just so that you guys can see everything all on one screen, I'm going to kind of squanch my paper there. Squanch, that's an official word, by the way. All right. So the veterinarian at the animal shelter weighs puppies every day. One day she records all of the weights. And again, this is going to be really important. They will do that because they want to see how well the puppies are growing. And if there's a puppy that's really big, like this guy over here is way bigger than the rest of them, why? Is it the breed of puppy that he is? Maybe that puppy's eating more food than some of the other puppies, like this little guy over here, and so that's why. So they kind of can ask questions about the puppy's health to make sure that the puppies are strong and healthy and growing the way that they should be growing. All right, so it says in the line plot, there are 3 puppies that weigh the same amount. What is the combined weight of those 3 puppies? Combined is one of our words that means that we're going to add because we're putting them together. If you combine something, you put it together. It says there's 3 puppies that weigh the same amount. So we are combining their weights. So we have 1 6/8 plus 1 6/8 plus 1 6/8. That's what we're doing. Or we could multiply it, all right? But really adding it's going to be the easiest. All right, so when I add 6/8 plus 6/8 plus 6/8, I'm going to have to regroup, right? Because if my numerator ends up bigger than my denominator, I have to regroup to wholes. So let's add just the fraction parts first. This is going to be a little tricky, but I want you to stick with me. All right, one puppy weighs 1 6/8. We can actually go ahead and eliminate that guy because that's one puppy. That's not the combined weight for sure. All right, 6 plus 6 plus 6. 6, 12, 18. It equals 18 eighths. Yikes. That's not okay. So we're going to take 18 eighths, remember, to go from an improper fraction or a fraction greater than 1 to a mixed number. We're going to divide. How many times can 8 go into 18? 8, 16. So it can go in 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. I subtract and I have 2 left. There's nothing left to bring down, so 2 eighths is my remainder. So now I combine this with this. So 2 and 2 eighths, 3 and 2 eighths, 4 and 2 eighths, 5 and 2 eighths, right? So when I add my 3 wholes together, stick with me guys, I know this is tricky. This is about as tricky as it gets, all right? When I add my 3 wholes together, plus the 2 and 2 eighths from the fraction parts, I get 5 and 2 eighths, which would be D. All right, I'm going to adjust my camera because the sun is coming in and I want you guys to be able to see. All right, let's look at another question. I'm trying to see here. Here we go. I'm going to look at one more page with a couple more questions, and then you guys are going to practice some on your own. Okay. So right here it says, Jabari records the number of tomatoes he gets from each plant in his garden. Make a stem and leaf plot. Okay. So in this case, we're simply just making a stem and leaf plot. I notice I have single digit numbers where the tens place would be a 0, and I have numbers in the tens where the tens place would be a 1. And remember, I have to start with my smallest, which in this case is 5. All right, and then I have, let's see here, I have 9 and 9. I have it twice, so I have to write it twice. I have 10, so that gets a 0 right there. I have 11 and 11, so 2 ones. And then I have 12 and I have 13. Okay? So in this case, I just had to make my stem and leaf plot, but I could answer questions about it. I could say how many of the how many tomatoes had less than 10 leaves, right? There would be 3 there. I could say what was the most amount of leaves a tomato had. That would be 13. What was the least amount of leaves? 5. What was the range in the amount of leaves, right? 13 minus 5 would be 8. Okay, so there's all kinds of questions we could answer about the stem and leaf plot, but again, being able to make it is important too. Okay, this one says, in science class, Miguel is measuring the length of an earthworm. He has 1 more earthworm to measure. How many inches is this earthworm? How many inches is it? This question is just simply answering it's 2 inches, right? And on here we would put the 2 and bubble in the 2. All right. He makes a line plot of the data. Add the last point to the line plot. So we have to add our 2-inch earthworm right here. Okay. And then it says, how many earthworms are 2 inches or longer? That means everybody on this side of the line plot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 earthworms are 2 inches or longer. All right, guys, those are some examples of different kinds of questions that you might have to answer about the data. Combining is probably the hardest, but remember, when you combine, you're just adding. If you need to add it in 2 numbers at a time, and then 2 numbers at a time, and then 2 numbers at a time, do it that way. Whatever works best for you. Don't get frustrated. Think carefully about everything that you have learned in math this year, and you will be able to do an awesome job. I will see you in the next video where we will be reviewing all of this information to get ready for our test that's coming up in a few units. Bye guys!